What's up everyone, this is Himukim, the gaming fanatic, and I wanted to talk about the rare classic fighters that Capcom keeps hinting several times in their games. Such as Street Fighter V that has several costumes that are references to games such as Star Gladiator, Vampire Hunter, Rival Schools, and possibly even Saturday Night Slam Masters. And with the return of Onimusha Warlords, which was one of my personal favorite games back on the original Xbox, which was called Genma Onimusha, I feel that Capcom should make a return to their classic rare fighting games. If anything, Capcom Rare Fighter Bundle. Just like what they did with their previous installments, that was Capcom Beat 'em Up Bundle and Street Fighter Anniversary Collection. My idea is that they should all be playable online, and the netcode needs to be excellent for all console users and PC. With so many nostalgic games and characters returning from other video game franchises, I think it's time that Capcom needs to invest to their golden age of fighting games. So here's my list of games that would be a great return for Capcom's golden age of fighting games. Cyberbots was a special kind of mech fighter that involves several limbs for your mech that gives you different abilities. If you play plenty of Capcom fighting games, you get the same idea like Street Fighter, but you have two attack buttons. And a boost and weapon button that gives your mech different advantages depending on the character you use during the gameplay. Now, keep in mind, I only got the chance to play this game on my modded Xbox original, but I will say that this was the first game that got me into knowing Jin from Marvel vs. Capcom series. This game has incredible sprite work, like most of their older titles. And it's rare to see them make a fighting game that doesn't involve regular people but just mecha. It would be relevant for its return, since it could appeal to players that are fans of the Gundam Battle Assault and Versus series, so that's why it's on my top list. Okay, reasons why I want Slam Masters 2 is pretty obvious. It's a standard 2D fighting game with unique wrestling mechanics that borrows the concept of Street Fighter 2. You got the same layout as Street Fighter, except this game has a grapple button that gives you several options on how you want to throw your opponent. And you can also run in any position to speed up the pace. It has many cool looking wrestlers with unique personalities, and there's even iconic characters such as Mike Hager from the Final Fight series. That's a playable character in the game. If you're familiar with his backstory, he started his early career as a pro wrestler that gained enough fame and respect that he began serving as a mentor. So it's interesting to see another side of the Final Fight and Street Fighter universe that could interest players that never got the chance to see this interesting game, that could build up into a new audience for competitors. Also, fun fact, did you know that the designer of the characters and art cover is the same creator who made Fist of the North Star? Crazy enough to see someone like this do some character designs for Capcom. Even though that Capcom got an inspiration for Kenshiro for Ryu's concept design. And strangely enough, Capcom did create an anime-based fighting game which was JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, who was made by the same development team who made Darkstalkers. There was an amazing franchise that Capcom has created that people seem to forget these days, but it's still being mentioned by popular YouTubers, and that is Power Stone. It was one of the very first 3D arena fighting games back in the day, and it was one of the best 4-player experiences you'll ever witness. There's no skills required. Just kick ass and get the power gems to transform your character into a powerful form of themselves. Each character has 2 unique super moves and has a more powerful fighting style. You can grab items in boxes and use them to attack your opponents with, and you can even throw your opponents. You can even hop on machines that can fire turrets at your enemies as well. And the game has multiple stage transitions during the middle of the fight, which will have different events. The game has a variety of interesting characters, and there are about 14 playable, and 5 stages to fight in. Personally, in my opinion, all the modes should be available to play online for free-for-all, co-op, and team battle. 1v1 should have an online ranking system to keep players interested to play competitively or just have fun with online with your friends.
The ultimate battle has already broken out. Spider-Man, you, Wolverine, Captain Commando. deciding among the Versus series. Marvel vs. Capcom. Capcom.
Now, Red Earth was one of the first in the series to run on the CPS3 hardware, which is the same hardware that your beloved Street Fighter Third Strike runs on. And this was a different type of 2D fighting game. Rather, it's a single-player quest mode, which you will face many beautifully designed boss fights that include RPG mechanics, and you will have your typical versus mode, which is simplistic like your typical Street Fighter game. The visuals and sprite animation is the main focus of the game, and damn is it gorgeous. There's so much detail on every character that you got to give credit to the sprite animators, who worked their asses off on these designs. One of my personal favorite characters in this game is Hazar, Leo, and Kenji. Hazar is basically a T-Rex dragon that has a really unique look to him. I also believe that the Monster Hunter World's Anjanith borrowed some of the concept from him too. Leo because he was a king of Savalia who was cursed and was transformed into a half-man, half-lion, and uses this curse as strength to repay his debt to his countrymen after an unknown force invaded his kingdom. And Keiji because he's like a Shoto ninja with a cannon, and has one of the dopest fatalities in the game, such as when he rips out his opponent's heart out and then crushes it. And you're sitting here thinking like, wait, fatalities in a Capcom fighting game? I've never seen that before, that's hard to believe. And surprisingly enough, this was the first Capcom fighting game to have fatalities. Go figure. Project Justice was like the Marvel vs. Capcom meets King of Fighters, but it takes place in high school. Project Justice is a 3D competitive fighting game with a total of 29 playable characters. This game has one of the weirdest fighters they have in this entire roster, and also the tamest ones you have as well. You got your delinquents, the thugs, the coaches, sport athletes, and a camera girl. And if you think it wasn't possible to have a photographer as a fighter, then Capcom will prove you wrong. Just like how we got a lawyer to work in a Marvel game, such as Phoenix Wright. The game's focus is a 2.5D fighting game with 3 selected characters in the match. It works just like King of Fighters in Marvel vs. Capcom, except all 3 characters can be chosen again or switch to a different one to counterpick. The assist doesn't work exactly like MVC, but rather a team assault, where your opponent will be in a hilarious and humiliating situation, which depends on the character that you're using. This franchise had several cameos and appearances before, such as Kyosuke, who appeared as a playable character in CVS 2, Batsu in Tatsuno vs. Capcom, who was also one of my favorite characters, and also appeared in Project X Zone. So, I never got the chance to play this until years later my good friend Ozwolf introduced me to this game that featured a familiar character we have seen before, and it was Hayato from Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Interesting enough, we got to try out this game, and man, this game is extremely fun. Every character has dialing combos like Mortal Kombat or Tekken, and it's very easy to perform in this game. Plasma Sword's gameplay is a cross between Street Fighter EX, Tekken, and Soul Calibur. Infinite stages are in place, where characters can move freely, and you can also move side to side with the sidestep button. You can also counter incoming attacks, which is called the Plasma Reflect, but it will cost you 1 bar from your power gauge. The counter animation works much like you would as a hold in DOA, but works much more like a guard impact from Soul Calibur. The most satisfying mechanic in the game is the plasma field, where the character will shoot out a giant energy wave that will hit your opponent and cause them to be in a hard knockdown and will transition to a wall stage, or time freeze. And some can be turned into a mini game of whack-a-mole, which is Ozwolf's favorite move, and I fucking hate it. But for me personally, my most favorite is Vector's laser cannon. Once I get the chance to get my character to a juggle state, I can follow it up with a plasma force and use the super to finish him off my opponent. Now I wanted to mention Darkstalkers, but I think that it should have its own separate collection for the best, since there's so many versions of them just like Street Fighter. I would love to have this collection of classic Capcom games to return and improve the mistakes from Street Fighter Anniversary. And come to think about it, this will be the very first time we could have a great return of Capcom games that many people have never seen before. This also means that Red Earth will get its very first console release, since it's been overshadowed by Street Fighter Third Strike for so long. But enough what I got to say, what do you guys think they should bring back? This is Himu Kim, and I'm tuning out.